24 Dynastar pushed up and brought in from the shop. So we're going to start working on this and getting this thing up and running again. Like I said, this tractor's been sitting for 30 years, maybe a little more, and it has been run since then. But, you know, she's missing some parts on the engine, so we're going to start putting her back together. But for those who don't know too much about these tractors, these Dynastars here, these are a real rare tractor to find. They're very hard to find. They didn't make very many of them. They were built by the AMF company, and the AMF company, they built that AMF we just got up and got run in our last video we did. But they also built the Dynamark, the Lawn Star, and the Green Star. I did have a Lawn Star at one time, and the Lawn Star was very similar to the Dynastar, only they were red and white. And some of the tractors they came out with back then, like the Lawn Star, was pretty cool. They had the rear discharge mower deck where it shot the grass out the back of the tractor. I did take the liberty on taking the mower deck off this tractor, so it makes it a little more simpler to work on. So this has got the 10 horse Briggs and Stratton in it. So this is really good. Motor's not set up on it. So it's just going to be a matter of see if we can get some juice. Well, okay, I did not notice that. Well, apparently this is missing a starter, so we're going to have to come up with a starter for this. What I might do is, one of the motors I got out back, I might have one of those rope spinny deals put on top of it. Maybe we can do like the AMF and just put a rope on it and try to get it started that way. So I don't know if I probably got a starter around out back somewhere. So well, I'll go do some digging and see what we come up with, and I'll be right back with you. I did find myself a starter out back. The only difference on this starter gear right here, as opposed to having the nylon gear, this has got the steel gear, and I really don't like that being on that aluminum front ring gear right there. But we're just going to see about getting this started, and then I can always swap this out and put the nylon on. And it kind of crude, they just kind of left this charging port here off to the side. And so we'll go and get this starter put on here. PB Blaster is going to be the penetrant oil of choice today. Put some fresh bolt oil on those bolts there, and okay, we'll just kind of, that would have bolted down right there, but yeah, we better take and stick a bolt, something in there for, I know what we'll do. We'll just put a zip tie there for right now, time being, because we may end up changing the starter anyway if we don't use this, go with something else, but we'll do that. I'm going to take and use a white zip tie right here, just to, so I can see that, just to remind myself that that's what's holding it on there, so we can make it right later. Main thing is I just don't want that thing to come off and land on the starter down here and short it out and we're spinning it over. Just like so. All right. Yeah. Not really sure the starter is going to work out all right on it, but yeah, we'll get a battery on. We'll find out here real soon. May have to put a shim or something behind there for the time being. Wow, all these wires on here are in real bad shape. So this is definitely going to have to be rewired. So I'm not too hopeful on this. The wires are going to be good to spin this motor over. So we might have to do a direct wire approach on this for the time being. I'm not sure this is going to work right. Probably going to have to find the right starter to go on here. I had to put some washers behind here, just get a little clearance with the teeth on here. But we got the universal battery cables on here in the booster, but let's see what it does. She's not wanting to spin it over. Yeah, I don't think this starter is going to work out very good on here. This is probably going to have to do some more looking and see if I got the actual right starter for this. Yeah, it tries to spin it, but well, I think this point right here, the hood off this tractor here, so we have more room to look at things and maybe get some oil inside that cylinder there and let it soak for a little bit. And I'm going to do some more digging tonight and see if I can find another starter. I think that's going to be our best option. And if I can't come up with one, we're going to have to figure out a way how to put a rope on there. There, we got that front end off this tractor now, and I did find the right starter for it last night, and we got this put on here and it spins over. I did have to take and change this starter gear and pinion on it. The teeth on the starter I found wasn't in great shape, plus it was missing a spring on here. Looking down here at you can see it's really low on oil. So we're going to start draining this oil out, and we're going to put some fresh oil in this. Figure that would be a good start. I did get the spark plug took out of the front here, and you know, as you can see, I can spin this motor over quite easily with this one hand. This is how it should be. So see what this oil looks like coming out of here. Whatever's left in it. I know we're not supposed to be using crescent wrenches on this stuff, but that was the closest thing to my hand at the moment, so I'm not going to be too upset about it. Yeah, black as tar. Go figure. Well, we'll sit and let this thing drain out for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and we'll be right back with you. Well, we let the old oil drain out for a couple hours, and as you can see right here, it's pretty nasty, pretty black. So go ahead and fill this thing up. Again, the oil choice we're using is going to be the old Conoco 10W30 synthetic blend. This is not bad oil. I'm told it's made by Haviland. I'm not positive if that's true or not. If anybody knows that, leave a comment down below and let me know. So we'll go ahead and fill this crankcase up here. And all right, we got the oil put in it now. Got my starter mechanism all hooked back up. Now let's see if we can get this guy whirling over here. See if we got any difference here. Well, that's a good sign. She whirls over pretty good. I got the spark plug out of it. Well, let's see if we got any spark going on right now. No way! Yeah, if you would have told me after sitting 30 years this thing was going to have spark, I would have said there ain't no way in God's green earth that thing's going to have spark. I just can't believe that thing's got spark. Well, I guess the next thing we need to do, we'll put the spark plug in there and shoot some giggle juice down in there and see if she'll bark off. All right, well, put some steroid juice down in here and see if this thing will cough now the spark plug's in it. Huh. Nope, she didn't want to bark off on that. Try that one more time. Could be we just might not have enough compression. Huh. She's kind of popping back through the carburetor on this thing. I wonder if this thing's got a sheared flywheel key on it possibly. We'll go ahead and pull that off and check that out. Got my handy dandy starter clutch removal tool here. A lot of place to get on here. Here we go. I know you're not supposed to hit these with a hammer, but this is a brass hammer, so we'll be all right. Okay, she's loose. Oh wow. I'll be doggone. I guess I didn't catch that. This don't have the points ignition system anymore. They got rid of it. Alright. Okay, I'll be doggone. That's electronic on that. Well, we'll go ahead and get all these boogers and stuff out of here. You know, that definitely makes more sense now why this thing did have spark. Well, someone did the right thing. They converted this to electronic at some point. So, yep. I do believe that's the old magnetron system they converted to. That's a kit you used to be able to get for these coils. That'd be alright. Well, put the flywheel back on there and new key and then go from there. Here, got yourself a new key to put on here just for good measure. Make sure that's all good. Flywheel keyway looks all good on here. I don't see any issues with that. We'll go ahead and stick this fella down here. Yeah, it's nice and square. Put the key on. See no problems with that. Just like that. I'm going to do something I ain't supposed to do again. Use a chrome socket on an impact. Alright. Now let's continue to proceed with this. See why this thing's not starting. Try this again. Ooh! Well, that's a different sound. Ah! How about that? I think she's gonna run. Well, how about that? She don't sound too bad there, does she? Well, be doggone. After 30 years, she does run. Well, we run into a problem with this. This thing was whirling over pretty good there, as you saw. But now, it was whirling over and it just stopped all of a sudden. Now, there's something going on here. I can take and turn this over a little bit, but it feels like something's hanging up in it. See, it stops there. Then I go back this way. And something don't feel right in there. I go back this way. So, yeah, there's something going on there. So I guess now what we got to do is I'm going to pull the head off here and see if there's something in there. Golly, I don't want to pull this engine off on this like we had to on the AMF, but when you run into something like this, you might not have a choice. Well, let's go ahead and pull that head off. Well, we got the head off this 10 horse here, and it's not good. We gotta scored cylinder in this, as you can see. Now if I can get the camera in there just a little bit, you can kind of see it right in there. Fortunately, this is an aluminum cylinder in this, so at this point right now, we ain't got no other option but to pull this engine out and pull this engine apart and see if we can do something with this or not. We might be able to save this, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead and pull this engine out off camera here and get her opened up, and once I get this thing opened up, further assess what we're gonna do, if we're gonna fix this engine here, or else if we're gonna get another block and put an engine together for this fella. So I'll pull this out and I'll be right back with you guys. Well, we got that motor out of that tractor. I'm here to tell you that was a job getting that thing out. I worked probably an hour and a half pulling that motor, just simply because the bottom pulley underneath of it was frozen and had to heat and cool that off to get it off. But here's the problem, what was going on here. This is a piston. See your oil control ring, that's free as can be, but your two compression rings, they're froze up on it. Let's see the top one right here, right there. Yeah, those grooves are just stuck together. So this is what I'm thinking we're gonna do. So you take a look at the cylinder on this. So I'll get my light down there. You can see there's a pretty good scratch in that block there from the rings, and it's unfortunate this is an aluminum block, and I do not have one of these 10-horse aluminum blocks. Well, that is disappointing. That's how this wool runs turn out right now, you know, but at least we all know why this tractor may have been parked 30 years ago. It might have had a smoke problem going on, you know, with the scored cylinder in it, and maybe they just didn't have the time or money to fix it. But you know, we did spray this thing down and let it soak down the PB blaster overnight before we attempt to try to start this thing. You know, maybe the PB blaster made it work where it just built enough compression and just run for that little bit, and well, that was the end of the road. But now, one thing I want to be clear on right here now, the right way to do this is to rebore this cylinder out and get yourself an oversized piston and rings to correct this. But being this is something of mine, I've got kind of a curiosity. You know, this is going to be a parade tractor. This is not something I'm going to drive, you know, cut the grass every week. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to hone this out here the best I can and try to get this cleaned out. We're going to get a new set of rings to put in here and see if we can make this work. And well, this is just going to be a trial and error thing, and that's the beauty of it. If it doesn't work and say get this together and it turns out to be a new way to go out in your backyard and fog your mosquitoes, well, it's just as simple as pulling this motor back out and putting another engine in it again. Well, got this engine all disassembled here right now. Now you might be asking me, well, if we're just going to put a new set of rings and hold it, why we do the whole thing? Well, we're pretty much obligated in going through and at least cleaning this engine out real good, because we had metal transfer in that cylinder, as you saw. So, you know, all that aluminum that come loose, it just goes all through the engine. You know, it has to go someplace. So we're gonna strip this down and wash it out real good and try to make it a decent engine. And something else too, look at all those varmint globs that got down inside that intake valve once I pulled the carburetor out. So it's just as well we're doing this, you know, as far as long as this thing sat. We'll go through and we'll do a valve job on this as well. You know, we'll try to make this thing as nice as we can for what we got to work with. Well, all right. Well, I spent the last hour and 14 minutes getting all these parts all scrubbed up for this engine and getting the block honed. Overall, I'm quite surprised on how this cylinder honed up on it. It don't look too bad. It ain't perfect by any means. You can see some of the scratches still there, but I think we might be all right on this one. So we got the old 10 horse sitting up here on the bench. We need to check the cylinder in it before we order some rings on this. So I got my little bore gauge here set up. Now the bore size on this is 3" .436 and a half to 3" .437 and a half. That's the manufacturer's specifications for it. So we got this set up on the small side of the gauge. So we're going to go down here and see what kind of taper we got in the cylinders here. Now how this works is you put your gauge down in the cylinder, it's going to be smaller. That's going to be closer to what the bore size is, because in the cylinder, your wear occurs up toward the top. That's where you get the taper. So I'm just basically checking to see how much taper we got in this cylinder right now. So we're right down there at the bottom, but when I bring it up here and go to the top, yeah, we got about 3.5 to 4 thousandths of taper. You're right there at the bottom of the cylinder. Now we go up to the top. You can see it right there. About 4 thousandths of taper in the top. And if we go down to the middle, yeah, about 3. So back down to the bottom again. Yeah, not bad. So I feel pretty good about, what we did with honing on this, considering the scratches. So they offer a 10 over size ring, or you get the standard rings. Gotta check my books. If they got the 10 inch oversized ring, that's what I'm gonna go with, and I can file fit the rings to where I want the rings at be for the end gaps on it. But if they don't have them anymore, as Olza says, we'll just go with the standard set of rings, and that's what we'll roll with. Well, it's been about a week now, and we finally got all the parts in, so we can start putting this motor back together and getting in that Dynastar and get it running for you. So we can finally start putting this motor back together. So what I ended up doing was I got me a set of 10 thousandths oversized rings, and I'll just take and grind these and put them at the specifications that I want them at. As you can see right now, they don't fit, so we got to grind them like so. But you come over here. So Briggs and Stratton, they give a reject size on here. They don't give an actual what the ring clearance is when these engines are together. It just tells you if they're over a certain size, well, it's time to rebore your cylinder and get a new set of rings. But as you can see right here, we're in the aluminum cylinder series with 25 thousandths what this engine is. Reject size on your oil control ring is if it's over 45 thousandths. It's time for a bore job or a ring job. And with your compression rings is 35 thousandths. So now the oil control ring here, I'm going to put mine at 25 thousandths. And the compression rings, I'm going to put those at 15. So I'm going to be a little bit doing this now. What I got here to do this, I got this old school ring grinder right here. Now, how this thing works right here is you just take and set your ring here on like so. Turn this little air valve on. Just taking a touch off to your ring right here. And once you take a little bit off, just come over here and you pop it back down your cylinder and check your clearance. So this is going to take a little bit to do, so we'll come back to more assembly once I do this. Yep, we're cruising along here. Got the piston and rod and crankshaft and got the cam gears in it, and now we're getting ready to throw the oil sump on. Well, we're cruising along. Got the short block here all done. Got the sump all put back on it, piston and rod in it, and so, well, now the next thing we gotta do is we gotta get the valve job done, and we'll get the valves put in, and next time you see this motor, it'll be all complete and back together, and we'll be going toward getting it put back in the tractor and getting her fired up. Well, we got this motor all put back together now. As you can see, I found some different parts to put on top of this here. So we're going to get everything all hooked up and get this fella running here. See, right now I've got a problem here with this muffler I put on here. See, the original muffler was on this. I've got another use for that muffler, and I'm going to put a different style muffler on here. So, well, I'm going to have to take and get a piece and angle this pipe up here out a little bit, just enough to get this thing fired up for y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and have to take this muffler off and reconstruct that. Now I got this muffler figured out on here, so we got this muffler all straightened out. I ended up going with a little short stubby one on here, so still got some clearance in here with that steering arm, and you know, still fits okay with the carburetor. So yeah, now we can proceed and get this engine bolted down. One thing nice about these 10 horse engines here, you notice here there's an 11 horse shroud that goes on here. So basically the 10 horse and 11 horse Briggs & Stratton, they're basically the same engine. So a lot of the parts will interchange on them. So well, we got this engine all put back together in the tractor here last night. I got a muffler that would work for it. Ended up going through my stock and finding a short and stubby one to put on there to clear that steering arm. And well, got the battery all hooked up now, so the hole's all in it. So I guess now the next step is get this fella started up and see if she's gonna run or not. So, well, I see this little screen in here is rubbing on the shroud here, so I gotta take and straighten that up a little bit so it's not making that tink 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 sound I'm hearing in it. Well, or not, she started right up and ran good, so that's a good thing. So I'll quick take care of this real quick so she's a little more quieter. Well, there we have it, everyone. Well, we finally got this will it run finished on this 1974 Dynastar, and I tell you what, this was definitely a lot more work than what was anticipated. Basically going through and freshening up the engine a little bit on this filler right here. For this to run optimum, I think I'm probably going to have to do a little more carburetor work on it. It does have a slight gallop on it that needs to be worked out of it, but oh no, the Dynastar does run pretty good. I did change it out, and I got rid of that the magneto style coil that was on it, and I replaced it with a solid state ignition coil on it. But yeah, look at that, she runs real good. This is one we're definitely going to keep around, and we'll probably restore this one down the road. But thanks so much for hanging out and staying with us on this video. This was definitely a good run to get this thing up after running for sitting for 30 years. All the gears are there, the transmission, so that's good. But we won't drive her too much until we get the rear end fluid changed down on. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this Will It Run video. If share this video with your friends, and if leave a comment down below and hit that like button. And if I could talk you into subscribing, we'll see you in our next video. Take care, everyone.